Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga. The Emerald arc, where previously an unknown figure has been moving throughout the battle frontier. After having taken out Frontier Brain Nolan, the other Frontier Brains are on guard about this mysterious intruder, simply believing it to be Emerald since the way that he came into the action was also so abrupt. But once he reveals that he is after Jirachi, even showing off his Pokédex, and Annabelle corroborating what he's saying about Jirachi as well as the Pokédex, something that could only be handed out by Professor Oak and those who corroborate with him, they decide to go with Emerald in his search for Jirachi. They encounter the Pokemon in Artisan Cave, only to be stopped by the true villain, Guile Hideout, who overwhelms the Frontier Brains, while Jirachi manages to get away. Later, in an effort to keep the press unaware of the goings-on, Emerald begins his battle against Greta, while the Frontier Brains, spearheaded by Annabelle, their leader, discuss things with Scott, with the revelation that he was already told months in advance by Professor Oak about Jirachi and someone going after said Pokemon. Scott, in a moment that I'm still kind of a little bit dubious on, believed that ultimately it was better for the Frontier Brains not to know about this, simply wishing them to focus on growing stronger and more capable, especially after being so overwhelmed. In fact, it is Scott who reveals that Emerald was actually sent by Professor Oak, and that he knew about Emerald's coming. So as Emerald battles it out, we see that both Ruby and Sapphire are making their way to the battle frontier. I knew that they were eventually going to show up, but it took me off guard when they actually were shown to be making their way down. And I believe aboard the same ship, we see that Mr. Briny is transporting the statues of the petrified Pokédex holder. This is all in an effort to potentially use Jirachi's one wish in order to free our frozen hero. But will they make it in time before the limited window of Jirachi's awakening runs out? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Pokemon Adventures Emerald, Volume 28. I'm still curious about Emerald's little launcher thing. Why did it look like a gun before? Oh well, it's good to see Ruby and Sapphire again. I don't know, even though the end of their story was fun and all, it's just, how to say it, I felt like I needed just a little bit more of them. And to finally be getting it is actually pretty nice. I'm also interested in the fact that Emerald, though he doesn't have Pokemon of his own, why is that? I understand loving Pokemon battles, but he has no particular love for Pokemon themselves. But he's not mean towards Pokemon like I would have expected for someone to have that kind of mindset. There's also the fact that so many Pokemon have taken to him. It's not all the ones that he helped out, not all the wild ones, but these ones in particular. Is there something special about them? Is there some kind of vibe they have off of Emerald? I wonder. Well, let's jump in. Alright, chapter 318, Sneaky Like Shedinja, Part 2. We pick up with, I believe, Emerald Sudowoodo using Rock Slide against Greta's Shedinja. How old is Greta? I only say that because I've said some compromising things about her. Unconfirmed trivia. Nothing is really said about her age. Wait, imply Greta is a kid. Her exact age is unknown. Like Clara and Avery. Well, they're not the best judges of how old someone is. I mostly know Clara, but her calling Greta a kid is... Not to mention the given time that would have passed since Greta was around. Would she still be a child? I better stop making certain comments before I get in trouble. Alright, as Shedinja is hit by Sudowoodo's Rock Slide, I believe, Greta says, right, I'm not going to lose this through the ranking system. This will be a one-on-one full-on battle. She has Shedinja use Solar Beam against Sudowoodo, and Sudowoodo is knocked back. Oh, Emerald takes a moment and says, I lost. But Todd says, what are you talking about? Look, Emerald, Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo's still standing. It's the friendship. It's hanging on so that Emerald won't feel sad. I kind of love those moments. Yeah, sure enough, Todd says, Sudowoodo is working really hard for you. How can you give up so easily? Keep fighting for 3 turns and your battle will be rated. You still have a chance of winning. Sceptile and Dusclops both fought for you before too. They protected you with everything they had. I still can't get over how involved Todd is with all of this. I didn't expect him to be the side character in this story. Todd getting more importance than in the Pokemon anime? Never would have guessed it. If you don't trust them, who can you trust? Emerald takes a moment and then says, hang in there, Sudowoodo. And Sudowoodo hears his cries and gives a wide grin, managing to hold in, maintaining its consciousness. The referee blows its whistle, its holographic whistle, and the crowd murmurs amongst itself. Greta says, it's still standing. 3 turns finished and his Sudowoodo is still standing. What's the judgment? The announcer says the result is skill. Emerald is 0. Greta is X. Body, Emerald is X. Greta is 0. Is O. Mind, Emerald is O. Greta is X. The judgment is 4-2. Emerald wins. Yeah, I don't really know what the O and X stands for. I kind of was guessing for a moment, but then I wasn't sure as I was going through it. Emerald is in disbelief saying, I won? Really? This is what he actually won through sheer luck. Well, I mean, it's Pokemon's determination. Greta comes rushing over, actually happy, saying, great work, Emerald. I want you to accept this. Prove it winning the battle arena. The gut symbol. Emerald holds it, not even really that plus, saying, oh, thanks. And Greta turns to Sudowoodo. Look, I'm just saying, I really like the way she's drawn. Not even so much in a pervy sense. It's just, I don't know, something about the way she looks is much better than in the anime. It was great. You showed guts as you fought that battle, and so did your Sudowoodo. I'm sorry what I said back at Ironson Cave. You've proven me wrong. But Emerald just walks off saying, okay, thanks, and good night. I mean, yeah, it's been a long day. Greta says, what? Hey, good night. Wait, where have you been sleeping all this time? And Emerald says, outside. Why? And Todd just looks on with a smile. And that's a good point. Why have you been sleeping outside, child? Greta tells him, you'll never get a good night's rest that way. You can stay at the Battle Frontier Hotel. Emerald very lazily says, really? Okay. And he just passes out on top of his Pokemon in a pile. Actual gremlin. And Greta says, hey. He picks up Emerald saying, oh, brother, taking care of actual child, while the Frontier Brains and Scott watch on. Suddenly, a figure says, I see you've taken a liking to him while I was gone. It's Nolan, everyone shouts joyously, with Brendan and Tucker all racing over to him. Brendan saying, it's great to see you up and about. Nolan, with a bandage around his head, says, so much has happened. He turns to Annabelle saying, I've heard all about it. You fought against the man who attacked me, right? Annabelle gives a nod, saying, we tried to avenge you, Nolan. I'm sorry. We were crushed. Oof. And all the Frontier Brains look down, very in shame. But Nolan waves it off with a smile, saying, it's okay. I brought you something that might help you in a rematch. Annabelle questions, help us. Nolan tells them, the day I was attacked, we get a flashback back to when Guile was standing over Nolan accessing his computer. Guile said, where? You're awake, but where are you? Jirachi, the wish Pokemon, who only awakens 1 week out of every 1,000 years. We see Nolan barely conscious. Okay, so he was still conscious at the time. I thought so, but then nothing happened afterwards. Nolan reaches out for Guile's sword and scratches it? Some metal dust from his sword got under my nails, so I analyzed it, judging by what I found. The sword was probably a unique force field item, with characteristics of both reflect and light screen. Wow, moves actually built into the sword. That's actually kind of interesting. See, I like the fact that it's more like, I didn't know if this would actually do anything. I kind of got lucky here. I actually just got lucky and managed to get like some pieces from his sword. Annabelle takes a moment saying, it's just as I thought. Lucy comes up behind her, grabbing her shoulders, asking, What do you mean? Annabelle says, I didn't know for sure, but it looked like my hunch was correct. When Brandon, Spencer, Tucker, and Lucy's attacks were repelled, it looked like his armor reflected our attacks, but it was actually his sword that did it. Oh, so it's the sword that has the power specifically. Interesting. It's all in the sword? Really? That would make sense if the sword was the source of the force field. Swinging it makes a void field around him, which protects him from attacks, but still allows him and his surskit to attack from inside the force field. That's a rather complicated system, though. Who would have the technology to make something like that? Nolan says, if you figured out all that from my getting attacked, I guess it was worth it. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. Annabelle even has that look on her face like, still don't feel good about you getting attacked, but okay. Nolan turns to Scott saying, Mr. Scott, may I take a look at Professor Oak's analysis of Jirachi? Scott brings up the data from Team Rocket saying, you mean this? Nolan says, I don't mean to sound arrogant by asking for a chance to reanalyze and report generated by the greatest authority on Pokemon, but this could give me a clue as to where in the Battle Frontier Jirachi will appear next. Brandon says, I see. That would certainly be helpful. Lucy says, we might be able to get the jump on Guile. I mean, that feels like what y'all should have been doing from the jump, but whatever. Scott hands it over saying, sure thing. Take a look, Nolan. See, it's even in this panel. Scott looks so devious. Like, when you can see Scott's eyes, it always feels like, what are you up to? Like, I don't know what it is. It's like something about the way he's drawn just immediately makes me go, I don't trust you. If I didn't know already that you're not a bad person. But then again, this manga has made so many characters actual bad guys. It's hard to tell sometimes. But, Scott, I would think you're the main villain of all this. I'm sorry. I feel bad for that. Because the whole Battle Frontier in the anime, I love Scott. Scott was cool. He was interesting. He was mysterious. And I actually didn't realize that he was actually behind the Battle Frontier. I thought he was an agent or something like that for some mysterious higher-ups. I didn't know he actually ran the thing. But I don't know. Something about him in this just really puts me on guard with the guy. Tucker shouts, yeah, this is great. Spencer and and Annabelle are the only brains left for the press demonstration battle. How would you like to train with me, Spencer? Spencer takes a moment and then, shoos away Tucker's hand on his shoulder saying, no, not now. I'm tired. I'll go rest in the battle palace. I'll see all of you later. Yeah, everybody seems to be a little taken aback by this. Which is, like something's on Spencer's mind. He cut over to the battle palace as Spencer descends in, recalling his Crobat. Oh! As Spencer descends and rounds a mirror, he looks at the tattoo on his shoulder. Right! I remember in a video, someone brought up the fact that Spencer has a tattoo, and even on his staff, that seems to kind of reference, it's been a hot minute. Is it Kyogre or Groudon? One of them, but nothing more ever really comes of it. That's the thing. Yes, Kyogre. And it was always a question of what was the connection. Because as far as I know, it doesn't even come up in-game. And even going through his voice lines in the game, he seems more jovial than anything else. And that was even in the anime. He's just a kind old man. He's just cool. But I kept feeling like there was something more to it. And I remember a YouTuber bringing that up once about him. Is there some kind of connection? But Spencer looks to his tattoos, even touching the arm with it, the sigil of Kyogre on it, as he says, the armor-clad man, Guile Hideout. Oh, and then we cut away. I have to assume that there's some connection that we're finally going to get revealed here. We cut to the Battle Frontier Hotel. Greta, dang, she's strong. Again, I keep feeling like a creep saying this, but Greta in this is, she's really charming in here. Like, more so than me just thinking she's cute. I like the spunk of her character. She's carrying all of Emerald's Pokemon. It's just 3 of them, but still, they're biggins. Like it's nothing, while Todd's carrying Emerald piggyback. She says, come on, follow me. Hurry up. He can't be that heavy. And we have them in room 201, where Emerald is placed on the bed, and they even have somewhere to heal your Pokemon. As Greta recalls all of Emerald's Pokemon, she says, here we are. He didn't wake up at all. He must be dead. Oh, Todd says he must be dead tired. He's been going without a break from the first day he got here, and he had to fight Guile as well. Where are his Pokemon? Greta says, here. Every room has its own Pokemon healer. He's wearing mechanical hands, platform shoes, and other gizmos, isn't he? How is he going to get a good night's sleep with all those gadgets on him? He should at least take off his shoes. How big are these things? I feel kind of weird that you're kind of undressing a small child, but whatever. Yeesh, what a pain. All right, let's change him into pajamas now. Todd says, Greta? It kind of feels weird. It's, come on, hold him. Oops. Oh, God. And both to Greta and Todd's shock. Ah, man, he is a small thing. His head's as big as the rest of his body. God, those mechanical hands, and he's constantly holding them, and geez, look at all those Pokeballs in his platforms. Wait, so the platforms were on top of platforms containing the Pokeballs? That's insane. I even see a scene of him using the mechanical hands while asleep to scratch his nose. My God, that is wild. What a weird setup. Greta shouts, what's this? But Todd says, shh, Greta. Greta looks on saying, oh my. All those accessories must weigh a ton. Todd says they do. He's a lot smaller than I thought. Anyway, let's just pretend this didn't happen. Thanks for the help, Greta. As he pushes her out the door. Greta says, what? But Todd says, it's okay. And I guess Todd quickly dresses him back up. He says, phew, that was close. He thinks to himself, he seems awfully self-conscious about his height. I bet he'd be mad if he knew that we saw how short he is. Yeah, he was telling me about it. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, is it simply that he's compensating? Because, I mean, he uses all those gadgets to the utmost. I mean, he's a lot more prepared than most other trainers we've seen. Todd says, well then, I had better return to my room and catch some shut-eye myself. Huh? Suddenly, all of Emerald's Pokeballs open, with his Pokemon all rejuvenated. Todd says, the Pokemon have healed already. Oh, huh. They all look over Emerald, worried. Todd even thinks they seem worried about Emerald. Sudowoodo then smacks his hands. He has some kind of berry. Is it orange juice? Yeah, and he squeezes it into a glass. In a very motherly-like manner, Sudowoodo is helping Emerald drink. God. Aw. Todd says, freshly squeezed Magos berry juice. It's helping Emerald drink it. That Sudowoodo really cares about him. It's like a nursemaid. Oh, now Sceptile seems pissy about this. Oh, whoa! And Sceptile uses his leaf blades in order to cut up some fruits on a full-on platter. Todd says, whoa, a luxurious-looking plate of berries cut up with leaf blade. This is exciting. It's a battle for Emerald between the Pokemon. Emerald's not even awake for any of this, though. Sceptile makes grilled berries. Then Sudowoodo makes a berry juice float. Sceptile makes a berry meal. Jesus, I didn't realize you could make so many things out of berries. And then Sudowoodo making a berry parfait? Jeez. When did the whole the cooking system get introduced in Pokemon? Because I remember, I don't think it was in Sun and Moon. I think you first had it in Sword and Shield, and then it went from there. Where you could have the modes where you fix food up for your Pokemon and all that. But man, shoot, you're getting all that even beforehand. Fixing meals with your Pokemon. Todd says, amazing, who knew Pokemon could cook? Huh? Oh, you see Dusclops getting angry. Ooh, I also forgot. Shoot, my favorite Pokemon list, even though it's just Dusclops. Which is funny because I like Dusclops. It's mostly because it's weird sometimes, but also because it's weird sometimes I don't like Dusclops. I'm kind of wishy-washy on Dusclops. But Dusclops then creates Black Hole, much to Sudowoodo and Sceptile's shock, and Todd trying to hold in as all the food gets. And Todd says, it's sucking in all the food, what a waste. And then it starts sucking in Emerald too. Todd says, does it want to have Emerald all to itself? And Sudowoodo and Sceptile grab onto Emerald's legs. There's a whole-on tug-of-war as Emerald finally wakes up, saying, oh, what's going on? Let go. And after the mess is made and the Pokemon are sulking, Emerald says, unbelievable. Todd asks, are you alright? Emerald says, I never had my own Pokemon, so I don't really get this. What am I supposed to do when stuff like this happens? I do like the fact that it's not like he's like apprehensive, but he doesn't really know how to deal with the amount of affection he's getting. Oh, I mean, I guess that makes sense that the little emerald he has on his forehead is kind of tied with a little band there. I wonder what's the significance of the emerald motifs he has on his clothing, because he has the emerald on his forehead and then the emeralds on his sleeve dealies. Is it just because he's named Emerald? And Emerald says, when they fight over me, Todd says, dunno, I'm not a trainer. Which, you know what, Todd, do you not have your own Pokemon? I'm just kind of realizing this. Does Todd not have his own Pokemon here? Has Todd ever had his own Pokemon? Oh my god, I'm realizing I don't think Todd has any Pokemon. Wait, in the Pokemon Snap game? In the anime? I don't think Todd has his own Pokemon. Well, it's only just dawning on me. Yeah, he doesn't have any Pokemon. That's so odd. In a world where people at least have one Pokemon, or that just tags along with you. Dang, how interesting. Emerald says, sitting on the bed, same goes for the battle today, too. I never thought a thing like that could decide a battle. Todd questions, a thing like what? Emerald says, that was the first time I ever cheered on a Pokemon during battle. I always thought a Pokemon battle just depended on the Pokemon's strength and the trainer's technique. Whether or not it's psyched up for the challenge or not shouldn't change the course of a battle, but I won. Wow, I kind of like the fact that he's surprised that he won in a situation where he thought he wouldn't. That's really changing his view. It's not just simply the Pokemon saving him or anything like that. It's just simply them not giving up when he was just like, nah. By all accounts, this should have been the end. Emerald says, this is all new to me. I don't get it. Oh, then we cut over to the battle factory. Nolan at his computer while Brandon seems to be bringing him some coffee. Yep, here's your coffee. Hey, how's it going, Nolan? Nolan says, oh, thanks. This report analyzed by Professor Oak is fascinating. The last time Jirachi woke up was 1,000 years ago. Legend has it that the person who captured Jirachi can make any wish come true. And I wonder if Jirachi granted someone's wish back then. What do you think, Brandon? Brandon's back to juggling them Reggies, which I wonder how the Pokemon feel about that. If he could actually see them in the balls, but you can't see what expression their faces are making. Brendan says, well, if Jirachi woke up, it probably granted someone's wish. Nolan asks, what kind of wish do you think it was? Brendan says, let me see. Wealth, fame, powers. Like One Piece. I guess there's beauty too. Eternal youth, immortality, eternal life would be a good one as well. But Nolan ponders this for a moment and says, Brendan, look at this part. I'm having trouble deciphering it. But I think it's an entry by the person who had their wish granted 1,000 years ago. Brandon says, really? Nolan says, yeah. Brandon looks, saying, wow, but if this person had their wish granted, that means, how can I put it? It means they won Jirachi over, right? That's quite a feat. Nolan says, Brendan questions, huh? Nolan tells him, what do you think it means? What does it take to be worthy of Jirachi's approval? Brendan thinks on this for a moment. Nolan says, there are several words I can read here. Awakening, eye-opening, looking into the eye contact. Brendan says, it's all about the eye. Nolan tells him, I've managed to decipher another word. The third. Brendan says, eye? Nolan affirms, eye. Brendan, that's it. No, Jirachi has a third eye. You need to look into Jirachi's third eye after it awakens. You establish an emotional bond with it through eye contact. That's how to win Jirachi's favor and get your wish granted. And yeah, even in the movie, I remember you had to, bond with Jirachi to some degree. And then we see Jirachi flying through the sky, its third eye opened. Good on you for making that third eye not as creepy as it could be. Alright, chapter 319. Verily vanquishing Vileplume. Thought I was going to trip up on that, but I didn't. So he has KBGL. We cut to the Pokemon Research Center at the third Hoenn branch lab, where Crystal enters, saying, I got a call from Emerald. He managed to earn the knowledge, luck, brave, and gut symbols. He says he's going to challenge the Battle Dome today. Professor Oak, with a ladybug flying overhead, says, I see. 3 facilities left, but that also means there are only 3 days left to capture Jirachi, including today. Crystal brings in a whole set of papers saying, I'm afraid there's more, and I'll need your help as well, Professor, for starters. Here's what we know about Guile. Please take a look at this intel. And this too. And she hands over whole heaps of papers. Oh, she has a Xatu. I like Xatu. Not one of my favorites, but I like it. We have to do whatever we can to help Emerald. Oh, I heard he cheered on his Pokemon during his last battle. Oak says in disbelief, really? Emerald? Crystal says he seemed puzzled by his behavior too. He's clearly changing. This experience has been good for him. A figure enters saying, no surprise there. Challenges help a person grow. And the bigger the challenge, the bigger the growth. Crystal turns saying, you're Professor Birch. Hey, it's good to see him too. Is Elm going to be involved here as well? Then again, I feel like the manga didn't really care too much for Professor Elm, honestly. They did more with Birch and Oak overall. Birch says, hello, it's an honor to meet you, as he, I guess, shakes Oak's hand. Oak says, I thought it would be best to consult a local expert about the Hoenn region. Oh, okay, that explains it. Why they wouldn't really call it Elm since it's just Oak visiting the region. And there's another reason as well. Emerald exits the hotel and heads over to the Battle Dome with his Pokemon saying, I slept well and I feel great. Woohoo! I'm gonna power through the Battle Dome today. And as he enters, Tucker comes up with a fabulous kaboom, saying, welcome to the 5th demonstration at the Battle Dome. And he leaps off the platform in a fabulous fashion. See, now this is the Tucker I'm used to. He's suspended from his salamence. Oh, that's cool. Wait, where's all the press to really take in all of this? Or are we just not really fully seeing them? Emerald says, oh, he's suspended from a salamence. And as Tucker lands, he turns to Emerald saying, I'm glad to get the opportunity to face you today, Emerald. I want to let bygones be bygones. We've been through a lot since that first day. And Emerald pushes him to the side saying, yeah, just hurry up and tell me the rules of this place. God damn it. Tucker was actually trying to be the bigger person here. It's situations like that I can't blame him for being like, I really don't like this kid. Tucker thinks he's still annoying. Tells him, but first, behold! And he points to the distance. Oh, the ship has arrived. The SS Tidal. Emerald questions, what is that thing? Tucker says, the ship that connects the battle frontier with Hoenn. The SS Tidal. Emerald says, never heard of it. Latios and Latias flew me here, so... Tucker says, a bunch of people just got off that ship. Oh no. Emerald says a bunch of people just got off that ship. Who's that guy? Tucker tells him, I'm the Dome Ace, and I want a huge audience for our battle. But that's not all. Look closer. We've invited other trainers to take part in the Dome battle. Oh, Emerald says, other trainers? Oh, Annabelle shows up saying, right. Trainers who want to challenge their skills at the battle frontier just like you. Because Tucker's facility, the Battle Dome, is a tournament-based battleground. Oh. And Emerald tells Annabelle, hiya. See, he has more respect for Annabelle than anybody else. Understandable. Annabelle would probably punch him in the face if he got too fresh. Well, no, that's not Annabelle's style. She kind of take it in stride and just move on. She tells Emerald, until now, the trainers you faced in the previous facilities were all virtual reality. Earlier, you were fighting against a computer. But that was only possible because those were straightforward one-on-one battles. If we did that in a tournament battle, the spectators would have to watch endless Pokemon battle between computers. Mr. Scott thought that would be a bore, so he decided to allow other trainers to take part in the Battle Dome. Emerald says, I see. Annabelle continues saying, but because of the Jirachi and Guile situation, obviously some of us were opposed to the idea of opening the frontier to the public at a dangerous time like this. But I made the final call. The Frontier Braves will take full responsibility for protecting the guests we invited to the battle frontier. And see, at least with them knowing they can give consent on how this all really shapes out. Emerald says a bit dismissively, also I forgot to put in a salamence. There we go. Emerald says, fine by me. Computer or real trainer, I just have to keep winning. Annabelle says, I knew you'd say that. He turns to Tucker saying, Lucy and Greta will be guiding the spectators to the dome soon. Relax and enjoy your battle. Tucker says, thanks, I'm counting on you. But then he's pulled away by Emerald saying, come on, hurry up, let's go. And Tucker says, again? Tucker tells him, A tournament starts with 16 trainers, and you must win that tournament to complete a round. At the end of the 5th round, you will face me. Emerald says, that means I'll have to fight and win 16 battles. Tucker says, don't lose before you reach me. Emerald says, of course I won't. As they enter, it's a whoa, an uproarious stadium. Oh, it's kind of set up almost like the Pokemon League, pretty much previously before. As Emerald kind of recoils from the crowd, roarious and loud, he says, "There are so many spectators. Talk about a packed dome." Tucker then whispers over to Emerald, saying, "By the way, where's that reporter who's always with you?" Emerald says, "He's in the hotel room sorting out the photos he's taken." Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't here for this. It's the biggest spectacle out there. And Tucker's taken aback, saying, "What? Are you telling me he won't be here to record and report about my battle?" Tucker leaps into the air, saying, "Yeah, he'll be sorry he missed it." It's now suspended again from Salamence, saying, "Ha! Welcome everybody, I am Domace Tucker!" It's funny the difference between here and in the anime. In the anime, they treat Tucker with like the utmost respect, but here he's such a joke. Even Emerald kind of dismisses him, saying, "Well, I guess I should go wait for the other trainers." As he makes his way to the whole entire stage, he looks upon all the other trainers, saying, "Oh, they're already here." And they all immediately glare at him. Like, whoa, what's that about? One of the people looks like Silver. Oh, but I think that's a woman. Yeah, I think I see her in another panel wearing a skirt. Yep, sure enough. And Emerald, dismissing all that, just sits right smack dab between them. Oh, one of them's a Pokemaniac. You can see him with the little Pokemon shorts. And he just says, "Excuse me," squishing in between all of them. Meanwhile, with Todd in the hotel room, he says, "Phew, I'm taking so many pictures, I need to sort them." Yeah, the days of analog sorting through pictures instead of just on the computer, but he's printing them all out. He says, I didn't notice it when I took it, but look at Sceptile. It's staring at Emerald, and here too. And I never realized Sceptile cared so much about Emerald. Oh, and he acts as he's shuffling through his pictures, he cuts his hand, saying, "I'm bleeding. Bandage, bandage." "Excuse me, is this the front desk? I've cut my finger. Can you please bring me some antiseptic and a bandage?" "And it's just a paper cut, dude." Then again, better to be safe than sorry. There's a knock at the door. He says, "That was fast. Come in." And a very familiar-looking nurse with a first aid kit comes in. Todd says, "What? A nurse? I just need a bandage." Like, dude, come on, you should know by now. It's freaking Latia, who says, "Okay, show me your finger." Todd says, "Oh, it's you, in disguise again." See, I'm starting to feel like Latias likes Todd more than anything else. Then again, Latias is the more loving of humans than Latios. That's very much been established at this point. And I think it's just that she likes having the chance to be around yet another person who seems to be cool with her. Latias says, "M asked me to find the armored man." He asks, "Oh, are those photos of M?" Todd says, "Yes. Take a look at how closely Sceptile is watching him." Latias says, "Actually, it's staring at M's Pokedex." Todd says, "What? The Pokedex, not Emerald?" Latias says, "Yes, that's what it looks like to me. Sceptile doesn't care about M, but it really wants his Pokedex." "Huh? That's weird." Todd questions, "But why? Why the Pokedex? Is it, pardon the pun, a plant?" Feels a little too genuine. Oh, so I thought that battles would actually be L versus all of the trainers, but no, it's an actual just straight up tournament. Battle Dome Round 1, Hex Maniac Valerie versus Rune Maniac Dusty. Valerie has her Sableye use Shadow Ball, while Dusty has his Corsola use Rock Blast. Next round, Battle Girl Cindy versus Bugcatcher James, which is interesting because James has a wheezing instead of a bug. But Cindy has her Makuhita use arm thrust, while James has his wheezing use Memento. Next is Ninja Boy Lau versus Gentleman Waller. Lau has his Spinda use Dizzy Punch, while Walter has his Oddish use Razor Leaf. We see Scott watching from his little hovercraft up above, saying, "Emerald is the 10th challenger, and his first opponent is Aroma Lady Rose." Announcer says, "5th battle. Will the trainers please step forward?" And Emerald jumps in saying, okay. Oh, okay. That's the end of chapter. All right. Chapter 320, Verily Vanquishing Vile Plume Part 2. Oh, what was her name? Rose, right. All right, so Rose tells her Vile Plumes, saying, go, Vile Plume, Giga Drain. While Emerald sends in his Dusclops saying, get closer to it, Dusclops, and use Fire Punch, which would be super effective. And dang, Dusclops knocks Vile Plume into orbit. And yep, she's down. The announcer says, first round 1, first match, 5th battle. Vile Plume has been knocked out. Emerald wins. Scott comes down in his saucer dog and says, you made it into the top 8 like it was nothing. Impressive. Emerald gives a peace sign and says, I was really surprised to see your Dusclops use Fire Punch. When did it learn that move? This morning I used the... Oh, I guess that's Scott asking? But Emerald says, this morning I used battle points I collected at the previous 4 facilities. They came in handy quickly. Also, at the Battle Dome, you get to check your opponent's battle cards before you face them. That helped a lot. Yeah, it would. Hey, my opponent was the Dark Horse team of this tournament. Scott says, right. The theme of this Battle Dome is tactics. The key to winning the battles here depends on what tactic you choose based on the information you're given. Ah, makes sense. As Emerald looks through the roster, he says, got it. Looks like my second opponent has been decided. And my next opponent is a team with top-class potential, Pokemon Ranger Masuharu. Yeah, I thought that was about to be an actual Pokemon Ranger, like the legit Pokemon Ranger, but no, it's a Ranger who wields Pokemon. Which of those 2 Pokemon is he likely to use? And which 2 should I use? And so, Emerald goes up against Pokemon Ranger, and not the fun kind, Masuharu. It's interesting that he's called Masaharu. Like, that's a more Japanese name than an English one. I don't really get to see too many of those Rangers. Masaharu goes in with his Berloom, while Emerald goes in with Dusclops. Oh, cut to the SS title. The wedding was... Oh my god. That's why they're here. That's why they're here. For Wanda and Riley's wedding. That's a great bit of... I didn't know that... that makes so much sense. I didn't... It didn't even register to me that this was it. Wanda and Riley's wedding, and I love that. I love, like, the horde of Whismur and Loudred are here. Okay, that has to be their Pokemon then. Did they take in the Whismur and Loudred after everything that went down in the cave? Well, the priest says, do you take this woman to be your wife, to love and cherish for the rest of your life? It's a hell of a turnout, too. Man, Riley, boy, you did up this wedding. Good. And with the blushing bride of Wanda, Riley says, I do. The priest says, and now the rings. Oh, Winona's here, too. Aww, this is cute. Dude, loving this. And I love that even Sapphire's fawning over it, saying, oh, this is so romantic. A cruise ship wedding. And look how good looking the bride is. Aren't you glad to be here? Well, Winona says, I am. Okay, get over that they're here too. Those 2 worked hard to evacuate the civilians at New Mauville during the incident with Kyogre and Groudon. I wanted to show my appreciation. Sapphire says, bet you're thinking about your own wedding, aren't you? Winona says, I don't know about that. As she peeks over at Wallace, who's next to Ruby. It's actually interesting that, are they in the stands or in the crowd? I guess so. Wallace is standing next to Ruby. As Winona says, relationships can be difficult. Sapphire says, but Wallace gave up being the champion to be a gym leader like you. That's romantic. Winona says, yes, but having someone far more skilled than me around all the time. I always feel like he's judging me and my decisions, you know? Sapphire says, but you thought about tying a knot, haven't you? And you fell in love with him, right? How come? Winona's acting a little bit bashful, saying, all right, that's enough teasing for one day. What about you then, Which immediately shuts up Sapphire. I wasn't expecting all this girl talk. Not saying it's a bad thing. It's just considering how rough and tumble Sapphire tends to be. I do like that she kind of embraces it a little bit. Sapphire says, we're hopeless together. Winona questions, hopeless? What's wrong? And the angry Sapphire says, everything. To be honest, I don't really remember fighting the battle with Kyogre and Groudon. Do you believe... Oh, that's Ruby's words. To be honest, I don't really remember fighting the battle with Kyogre and Groudon. Sapphire says, can you believe it? He says he forgot everything. He said it was because we passed through the flow of time when leaving Mirage Island or something like that. Oh, really? Oh, that's some BS. I feel like he's just trying to get around a situation he doesn't know how to deal with. Winona says, come now, you're still young, you have a long future ahead of you. You've got time, right? You're only 11. Calm down, kids. Enter Wallace and Ruby. Ruby saying, hey, what are you two chattering about? Oh, they were up on the balcony. Okay. It seemed like they were standing a whiles away. Sapphire says angrily, we ain't chattering. Ruby says, small talk about meaningless things is called chatter. I swear. Ruby, that personality of yours, buddy. Sapphire questions, what makes you think our talk was meaningless? Ruby asks, are you saying it was meaningful? Sapphire says, that's right. Ruby asks, okay then, what were you talking about? Sapphire says, I don't have to prove nothing to you. I will admit I kind of missed this. Wallace, puts an arm around both, saying, now, calm down. Winona and I are going to the banquet after this, but you two have a mission to accomplish, don't you? Sapphire turns, saying, that's right. Ruby says, yes, master. We're going to enter the Battle Dome tournament as ordinary trainers, and we'll get to meet the third Pokédex holder at the Battle Frontier. Oh, okay, so they're here for Emerald? Are they teaming up in order to help out with the, petrified Pokédex holder situation? They have to be here in order to... so is it more convert? I mean, is it just a backup plan? I'm not really sure. Bert says they should have arrived at the Battle Frontier by now. As Bert sits down for tea with Professor Oak that Crystal serves up, Oak says, thanks to you, Professor Birch, we were able to send in 2 skilled trainers to support him. Yep, sure enough. Bert says, oh, I don't deserve any of the credit. You're the one who told me that many of the Pokédex holders have the same fate. Which, I mean, you're just handing Pokédexes out. Same fate. Then again, all things considered, after everything that's happened to all of the Pokédex holders, I can kind of believe that there's some kind of mystical mumbo-jumbo kind of going on with some of them. Oak says, right. Bert says, everything would be perfect if I only still had that Trico. Oak questions this, as Birch explains, I'm just reminiscing about one of the 3 Pokemon I used to have. Originally, I had a grass, fire, and water type Pokemon as my research subject, and 3 of your Pokedexes, Professor Oak. I gave the first Pokedex to my daughter with Torchic, and Mudkip and the second Pokedex ended up with Norman's son. Oak says, and the third person was chosen? Birch says, right, a boy named Emerald, the one you suggested. I wanted to give him the Trico, so it would evolve along with Torchic and Mudkip. And we cut back to, the Great Flood by Kyogre, as Birch says, I lost my bag with Trico and the Pokédex in the storm that hit Hoenn. Luckily, the bag was discovered and the Pokédex was returned to me soon after. Bye, Wally. Shouldn't Wally be here for the wedding? Now that I think, right, but maybe because of his condition? I feel like thanks to Wally's little breathing apparatus, he would be able to come to his cousin's wedding. Does he not show up here? That'd be weird, though. With everything going on, Wally doesn't show up in a situation where it feels like he should, unless he's off training. I don't know. I feel like Wally would want to see his... Did we ever really see him and his cousin interact that much? I don't know. I feel weird about that. Maybe Wally will show up. Wally's note to Professor Birch says, Professor Birch, I found this Pokedex and feel it should be blank to its rightful owner so that blank blah blah. Next page says, but I lost the Trico. We were blown away by the blast when Rayquaza woke up. Is Sceptile that Pokemon? Okay, yeah, maybe it is fate that it ended up at the Battle Frontier. It has to be. It's too convenient, but I couldn't see anything else. Maybe that's why it's so engaged with the Pokédex. It's one of the last thing it remembers. Birch says Trico has been missing ever since. It had already evolved into a Grovyle when it was lost. I told Emerald what happened, but Emerald says, Oh, that's okay. I don't keep any Pokemon on me. Don't keep any Pokemon of my own anyway. Oak says, I see. Bert says, regardless of Emerald's attitude, I hope the the Grovyle is doing well. Oak says, right. If it returned to the wild, that's fine, but right. But we know that's not the case. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, Fate. Man. I mean, we've really gone hard with Fate when it's come to the likes of Ruby and Sapphire. So somehow, Sceptile making its way to Emerald and all that, I guess that kind of adds up to a certain degree. We cut to Ranger, I gotta remember the dude's name, Masuharu's, I guess, Ursaring, fighting Emerald's Sudowoodo. Emerald says, yeah, and tells Sudowoodo to use counter. Sudowoodo smacks the taste out of Ursaring's mouth. Oh, and Ursaring goes down too, dang. Then also says, round 4, final? I want to say finale, but no, that's not finale. Round 4 final. Ursaring has been knocked out. That makes Emerald the winner. We'll take a 15-minute break now. Emerald goes out saying, phew, I need some rest. Oh, Ruby is talking with Mr. Briny on his Pokegear, saying, me too. Briny says something, and Ruby says, the SS title is leaving soon. Oh, okay. I was wondering it's leaving. Wait, what? Briny says, catch you later, kid. I'll be back in 3 days. Ruby says, okay, take care, Mr. Briny. Honorary Captain Mr. Briny. That's such a mouthful. Please say hi to our master trainers for us. And he hangs up. Ruby says, well then, by the way, how are we supposed to find this guy? Do you know what he looks like? Sapphire says, nope, but my dad said the Pokédex make a special resonating sound when they're close enough to each other. They'll start humming. Oh, and sure enough, it's happening. Ruby says, like this? Ruby says, this means he's here. And so, oh God, I know where this is going. Oh no. Okay, I feel like that page where he says, I need some rest. Hold on, I know where this is going. Okay, now he does kind of say I need a rest. Sapphire says, yeah, what the? He ain't inside the dome. It's coming from over here. Ruby says, oh, a rainbow. Sapphire says, how pretty. Oh no, they make it look like a can of juice. Whereas Emerald says, I shouldn't drink too much soda, it's bad for growing bones. Hope there isn't Sudowoodo down there. But no, in actuality, he's taking a whiz. He's full on taking a whiz. Emerald says, what's that sound? As the Ruby and Sapphire are freaking out, Emerald turns in the direction. Oh no. It says, it's coming from over there. And Ruby and Sapphire freak out, saying, watch out! Earl says, what? They say, yikes! Oh, what an introduction. So Ruby turns off the humming on his Pokédex. I love the apprehensive look he has on his face. Sapphire just has a disappointed look on her face. And Sceptile knows how to turn off the humming on his Pokédex, which, yeah, no, there's no question about it. Earl says, so it was the other Pokédex. Thanks, Sceptile. Where'd you learn to do that? He then looks over at Ruby and Sapphire and says, who are you two anyway? And what do you want? Well, Ruby is still freaking out, saying, hey, are you sure it didn't get on me? My back isn't wet. Is it? Look carefully. Well, Sapphire says, pull yourself together. This ain't the time to cry over spilled soda. Earl says, let me ask you again. Who are you guys and what do you want? Ruby responds, we're here to meet you, Emerald. You're the third Pokédex holder of the Hoenn region. And Emerald seems to be kind of questioning this. Ruby introduces himself saying, I'm Ruby. Sapphire adds, and I'm Sapphire. Emerald, Ruby, and Sapphire. Together at last. Alright, chapter 321. Hunting Curlia. Okay. Alright, they're added to the battle. Okay. Is Emerald gonna have to take on both a Ruby and Sapphire? That would be interesting. Oh, why does Sceptile seem so angry? What the heck? Emerald questions Ruby and Sapphire? Who names their kid after a gem? Said Emerald. They both brandish their Pokédex. Ruby saying, like you, we're Pokédex holders from the Hoenn region. Sapphire adds, yeah, we're your pals. We came to help you on your mission with Jirachi. Emerald says, pals? Help? Who sent you here? Crystal? Professor Oak? Sapphire says, nope. Ruby says, we were sent by Professor Birch. And Ruby and Emerald snort, saying, oh, that guy. At any rate, I've only got one thing to say to you two. I don't need any help. Protecting Jirachi is my job. Okay, that's all. And he takes off. Ruby calls out, hey, Emerald, wait. Oh, but Sceptile swipes at both of them, sending them back with his actually using Iron Tail on them. Gee, why is Sceptile so angry at them? What? I mean, if this was the Sceptile that was raised by Wally, he should have heard Wally say good things about Ruby at the very least. After they both hit the ground, Ruby says, ow, that was a pretty powerful Iron Tail move. Oh, Sapphire says, come on, we gotta go after him. Oh man, the one thing that they can finally get on page with, being hated by Emerald. Man, what is with the kids in the Hoenn region having so much animosity between them? Interesting. Ruby says, don't worry, he's still in the tournament, isn't he? We'll be entering it too, so there's no need to hurry. Sapphire says, what's wrong? Ruby says, my clothes are all sticky. I want to change. Sapphire jumps up in anger, saying, you're fine, quit being so prissy. Ruby says, just because you like to roll in the dirt. Sapphire says, not always. Well, Ruby says, well, I never do. But it's obvious that Ruby noticed that Scott is watching from above. And him in that saucer. Scott says, Ruby, son of Norm, the gym leader of Petalburg City, and Professor Birch's daughter Sapphire. I knew they'd come here. Again, see, that's what I'm saying. He feels ominous. There's something kind of freaky about him. Inside the Battle Dome, the announcer says, the tournament at the Battle Dome. Win, some lose. The results can be instantaneous. There we go. In the stands, the reporters chat amongst themselves, saying, it's so much better to watch actual trainers compete against others instead of virtual trainers. Yeah, the spectators are much more enthusiastic. Okay. I mean, yeah, that would be fun to report about, and it lasting long periods of time. You're at least going to catch on to a very interesting display at some point. And God, watching football games, that goes on at hours at a time too. And I'm not even into sports. The reporters say, in the frontier brain of the dome, Tucker is participating in this round. Also, even the frontier, Tucker is actually in the contest too. Wow, so you could even get to a point where you don't even face Tucker should he for some reason lose in his own tournament. That's kind of wild. I actually kind of like that. That's kind of fun. If he keeps winning, he'll face that Emerald kid in the finals. See, I like that. Tucker obviously had this set up to build that kind of hype and excitement. I'm actually sad that Todd isn't here to watch this. Like, finally get one of the more interesting displays in terms of overall presentation. Another reporter says Emerald's making his way through his fifth faculty in an attempt to win the tactic symbol. I can't wait to see his final battle. A female reporter says you can't be too sure that'll happen. Tucker and Emerald aren't the only trainers who are winning battles easily. Check out those two. Ooh. Oh wait, are they fighting against each other or separately? Oh, gotta get in. Finally, my favorite starter of the Hoenn region, Swampert. I was gonna say Marshtomp. But I'll be honest. Marshtomp is, in my opinion, Marshtomp is just a little bit better of a name. I don't know, it's like Marshtomp. Would Marshtomp you? But Ruby says, Momo, mud shot. While Sapphire tells her Blaziken, chick, Blaze kick. The reporters say those trainers from Hoenn entered the tournament too. The female says, Ruby and Sapphire, huh? They've been winning every battle with just one move, and they're quickly moving up the tournament chart. And then you have Emerald going in with Sceptile and Tucker going in with his Salamence. I don't know. I knew the name, but I hesitated because I got Swampert's name wrong. It's just like, brain no worky. The announcer says the top 4 trainers of this round have been decided. These are the 4 trainers, including Dome Ace Tucker. Oh, okay. Wait, is Sapphire going up against Tucker? Huh. Did Sapphire actually lose to Tucker or win? Or is it Emerald versus Tucker and Ruby versus Sapphire? Interesting. Scott watches from his saucer as per usual, saying, ha! Tucker versus Sapphire, Emerald versus Ruby. An interesting couple of matchups. So it is the former. He floats over to Tucker on his throne, saying, how's it going, Tucker? Tucker says, great, Mr. Scott. While Tucker is flicking the tactics badge into the air. Scott says, if you lose, you won't be able to face Emerald in the finals for the tactics symbol. Tucker says, then how about this? Whether I win or lose in the semifinal, the trainer who wins the tournament will receive the tactics symbol. Although I won't lose. Ooh, I love that confidence. Oh, and Scott even says, you sound very confident. Tucker says, I am. Tucker clenches the armrest of his throne, saying, to me, this tournament isn't about beating challengers and keeping the tactics symbol. I'm determined to face that armor-clad man again. In order to do that, I must grow stronger. He might be close by, watching this tournament, and that will show him that the frontier brains are not to be trifled with, and that he'll never escape our wrath. Ooh, Tucker, yeah, baby. Between Tucker and Wallace, who make the most flamboyant dudes in this series seem like the most manly. It is a sight to behold. But, yeah, of course, Scott is all smiles at that determination in Tucker. And so the announcer says, semi-final, first battle, Emerald versus Ruby. Gotta put that respect on that name placement. Emerald goes through the opponent list saying, I should check the card to learn about my opponent. His Pokemon are, and Ruby has out his Swampert, his Milotic, and his Curlia. Oh, it didn't evolve. I mean, I know it's only been a few months, but then again, he doesn't really battle unless he has to. So he wouldn't really do such yet. But I would have sworn he would have gotten it evolved into a Gardevoir by now. Man, even when I'm trying to actually get out the names, I can't. But Ruby's doing his usual thing, taking pictures, saying, hold your head up high, Moo. Fifi, look down at me for a moment. Rah-rah. Lean your head to the side a bit more. I'll set the video camera here, and while an official runs over saying, hey, what are you doing? Well, Ruby brings out a binder saying, I have to keep a record of my Pokemon's achievements. I'm already at my 136th photo album, you know. Oh my God, this guy. He then throws a whole bunch of supplies over to the guy, a light and a mirror, saying, hey, could you take care of the lighting for me? And then he shouts over, oh, and Emerald, you don't need to bother with my card. These three are the Pokemon I'm going to use. Emerald's not used to dealing with this kind of eccentric, despite how he can be a lot of the time. The announcer says, battle start! And Ruby sends in his Curlia saying, let's go, rah-rah. While Emerald says, Curlia, a Psychic-type Pokemon. Obviously, I'll use Dusclops. Type advantage. Interesting. Oh, wait. What just happened? Suddenly, Dusclops seizes up and then yawns. Oh, Emerald says, I knew it would attack first. It's using hypnosis. Hang in there, Dusclops. Don't fall asleep. Emerald's ready if he should come up against an opponent that's his weak type. Oh, Dusclops managed to work through it. Because of Emerald. He powered through it with the power of friendship. Emerald says, good, you beat it. Shadow Ball. And Dusclops does just that, knocking it into Curlia. Emerald says, Psychic types are weak against Ghost-type moves, so keep attacking. And so Curlia is hit with a barrage of Shadow Balls over and over again. Emerald says, The Curlia is still standing. It's tougher than I thought. I'll use a different move then. And he sends Dusclops in with a Fire Punch. Decking the Curlia. Kind of looks like he's decking her in the tit. Oof. Curlia's kind of getting beat here. Ruby, you want to do something? Emerald says, I did it. It got hit with Burn. Tucker calls out, that's right, but that won't ensure you a victory. Take a look at your Pokemon. Oh, Dusclops staggers a bit. Emerald questions, what? Emerald says, my Dusclops got hit with Burn too. Curlia's ability must be synchronized. As we see Dusclops burning as well. Tucker says, which inflicts the same status condition upon the opponent when the Pokemon has been paralyzed or burned. Scott adds, and Curlia didn't just withstand all the Shadow Balls. The Shadow Balls move was imprisoned from the start. Imprisoned? Like it was locked onto Shadow Ball? Oh no, I think that's Tucker saying the Shadow Ball's moves were imprisoned from the start. Emerald questions, what? That means all those attacks were meaningless. Oh, and both Dusclops and Curlia go down. The announcer says, a double knockout. While Emerald does sweat a bit, he licks his lips saying, you are strong, aren't you? While Ruby just gives a very disarming grin. I kind of like this. Yeah, I mean, Ruby got them chops. And so Ruby sends out his Milotic, calling out Fifi. Fifi is a water-type Pokemon, so I'm betting you'll go use your Sceptile, which has an advantage over it. Am I right, or am I right? I've kind of missed Ruby being kind of a little shit, honestly. But it's actually a little bit more fun now that he's on the other side of things. You know, now that he's the side character and Emerald is the protagonist, you get to see that angle of him that others usually see without being able to get into his head. So it makes him kind of cooler. Emerald thinks to himself, what? Does he have a contingency plan? Or is he just confident that the type disadvantage won't affect the outcome of the battle? I don't care. He then calls out to Sceptile, let's give him what he wants, Sceptile. But Ruby suddenly says, hold it. He goes over to the attendant saying, please pay attention to the lighting. You're creating a shadow on Fifi's face. Which starts to annoy Emerald. Yeah, I kind of figured that was probably the end of the chapter. Actually, I thought before this was the end of the chapter, with Emerald facing off with Ruby. But yeah, it would end on a joke. Good. Alright, and the last chapter of this video, chapter 322, Susceptible to Sceptile. And we have Sceptile facing off against Milotic. The announcer says, the Battle Dome tournament for the Tactic symbol is in full swing. In the first battle of the semifinals, a fierce fight is raging between Ruby and Emerald. Sapphire watches, calling out, amazing! He's putting everything into this battle. That's the spirit. Suddenly a hand is placed on her shoulder. Tucker saying, should you be wasting time watching him? It's time for us to begin our battle in the second stadium. Oh, okay, so battles happen simultaneously. That's interesting. Yeah, and sure enough, you have Sapphire in her crouching position, facing off with Tucker using her Aggron as Tucker brings out his Salasmance. The announcer says, the second semi-final battle between Sapphire and Frontier Brain Tucker is about to begin as well. Enjoy both battles. See, that's interesting. So that means you can have certain fights happening at the same time, which means it would never really get boring. Because if you get bored with one fight, you can just go over to one you're more interested in. Meanwhile, with Emerald, he thinks to himself, I paralyzed it with Body Slam, and I've attacked it over and over with Leap Blades, so I'm sure my strategy isn't wrong, but I still haven't been able to deliver a decisive blow. That Milotic is much tougher than I thought. Okay, I'll change to physical attacks to change the flow of battle. He calls out, Sceptile, Focus Punch. Oh, god damn. And Milotic just tanks it. Damn. That's intimidating. It just tanks that Focus Punch. You can see that, it didn't do nothing, but Milotic's taking it like a champ. Emerald says it didn't have the effect I expected it to. And of course, Ruby with his own personal mic chimes in saying, its body is covered with marvel scales. That's the ability of my Milotic Fifi. It was a tough Pokemon when it was Feebas, but it got even tougher after it evolved. Emerald brings out his... what is it called again? I can never remember what it's called. His little scanner thingy-majiggy that tells you the certain stats. He checks it saying, I found it. An ability which raises the Pokemon's defense when it's suffering from a status condition. So you're concentrating on defense, huh? But that doesn't mean I have to change my strategy. Keep attacking, Sceptile. And Scott seems displeased with this, overlooking it and saying, Emerald seems to be in a hurry to win. The trainer chooses 2 of their 3 Pokemon for this battle. They've each lost a Pokemon already. So, the trainer who defeats the opposing Pokemon will make it into the final. But, you could see Milotic just gracefully dodging every hit that Sceptile tries to send its way. Ruby smiling the entire time. Emerald gets angry saying, you seem pretty confident. I guess you trust your Pokemon's defense. Ruby says, yeah, I do. I have faith in Fifi. And Emerald seems to choke, saying, "Stop that! There it is again, that darky I believe in my Pokemon attitude. I hate that." Oh, okay, so he does have that kind of attitude. Interesting. Ruby says, "Really? It might sound silly to put it into words, but it isn't as bad as you think. Besides, I have a special relationship with Fifi, because we got separated once and I thought I'd never see Fifi again. But now we're back together." Aw, he cuddles with Milotic, saying, "So Fifi means a lot to me. If you're meant to be together, you will be, even if you're separated." Oh, much like Sceptile. Emerald seems weakened by this, saying, "Stop, you're killing me with all that mushy stuff." He's been hit with the cringe. While Scott's watching, he questions, "What are they talking about?" But Ruby points out, saying, "You act like you don't care, but you and your Sceptile are quite a pair, you know." Emerald questions, "Huh?" While Ruby says, "Looks like you two are bound together by fate." Emerald grows angry, saying, "Stop it, you're messing with me, aren't you? I won't fall for that. Get right up close to it and use Leaf Blade from that position." And Sceptile does just that, going in close on Milotic. But there's a weird sound. Emerald is shocked. Ruby seems serious as well as Milotic. And Scott, with a very serious look on his face, says, "Not a bad plan. As a matter of fact, it's the best plan." Oh, Milotic has I didn't even think it had an ice-type move. That is devastating. Scott says, "But only if Sceptile manages to deliver the blow before Milotic uses Blizzard." Oh, snap. Emerald calls out for Sceptile, and Ruby has dropped the playful demeanor and has gone deadly serious. Ooh, I feel like Sceptile's trying to escape, or has it been hit by the status condition? I guess it's because it's frozen. Yeah, I guess it would be status condition. Scott calls out, but Sceptile is already frozen. It's not going to be easy to get out of that state. And Sceptile's doing his best to fight. And then Sceptile looks over to Emerald. Oh, is it Emerald thinking this? Or is it Sceptile thinking back on Ruby's words? If you are meant to be together, you will be, even if you are separated. We cut back to Sceptile when it was a Trico. Back during the storm created by Kyogre, Birch looks to Trico, saying, "What a day, huh, Trico? Today is the day I am to meet the Pokemon trainer I'd planned to entrust you to. The trainer who's registered as a third Pokedex holder. This fellow's name is Emerald. Professor Oak said he's a rather peculiar, but he's going to be your partner, Trico. Try your best to get along with him, all right?" And we see the memories. Trico being washed away, Emerald's Roselia helping it, the battle tower, Trico helping Emerald, it having evolved in a Grovyle and being commanded by Emerald, the awakening of Rayquaza, and the blast that knocked it away. Oh, in some far-off place it ends up evolving. Oh, and ends up being incapacitated by Guile Hideout. Really? Guile looks upon the Sceptile, saying, "Not a bad-looking Pokemon. I'll use it to drive out those pesky reporters from the battle frontier. I'll slip this in among the rental Pokemon. That ought to create a ruckus." Huh. Yeah, what a weird twist of fate. And we see the moment when Sceptile rampaged, Emerald calmed it down, and then when Emerald talked to Todd about the Sceptile, saying, "The Sceptile was never a rental Pokemon to begin with. That's why I helped it." And we see that the soil that Emerald had fired out was from Little Root Town, where Sceptile was from. I wonder why Emerald didn't even question that. With all these memories flooding back, Sceptile breaks free from the frozen status effect, much to the shock of Emerald and Scott, and manages to swing on Milotic. Oh, that's why it hates Ruby. Okay, hold on. The announcer says, "Milotic has been knocked out. Sceptile wins. Trainer Emerald has made it into the finals." Scott is flabbergasted, saying, "Wow, it broke out of its frozen state by itself and attacked Milotic with a really powerful Leaf Blade." Emerald, I guess cuddles Sceptile a little, as Ruby, smiling despite the defeat, says, "It's just as I thought. That Sceptile is the Trico you were originally meant to have. I don't know how, but it looks like it's been reunited with its rightful trainer. It must have lost its memories due to some kind of shock. But it seems better now. Remember me? We met at the secret base when you were still a Trico." And, yeah, it does remember you. When Ruby says, "It doesn't look very bright. Better than the green one, but..." It's mad at Ruby because he dissed him. Oh, no. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Better than the green one, better than the green one. Just echoing through its mind. I gotta see what the uncensored version, what the line was there. Because I feel like it's even worse. Hold on. Chapter 322. Oh, definitely better than the green one. Oh, yeah, no, it was essentially the same line, but it sounds even worse because it's just like, I'd rather take the stupid one than this other one. It's just like, oh, Sceptile decks Ruby in the face, and Ruby gets chased down by Sceptile as he shouts, "Hey, what gives?" And as Emerald walks off, he spots Sapphire. "Oh, I wanted to see their fight." Sapphire saying, "Well, that was an eye-opening. That frontier brain sure is strong." And seeing this, Emerald says, "That means," and then as an announcement goes off, "the final battle, Dome Ace Tucker versus Emerald, will begin after a 5-minute break," as we see that Guile hideout seems to be in the building with his very menacing looking Surskit. All right, it's a heck of a meeting. This, it's the thing. It's when the trio is together, everything gets better every time. When you have blue, red, and green together, everything's at its best. Throw yellow in the mix, it's so good. Gold, silver, and crystal, the best of times. And now Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald? Yes. I kind of wish we could get Wally in the mix of things too. Just because Wally really was not at his cousin's wedding. Dang, that is such a bummer. You barely get anything on Wally, despite the fact that, let's be honest, they actually involved Wally in the main storyline. Because in the game, Wally's gone for that stretch of time. You encounter him a few times as you're going along, but he never gets involved with Team Aqua, Team Magma, Kyogre, Groudon, nothing. And you actually have him play a part in the awakening of Rayquaza, and then nothing after that. It's just like, oh, come on. That's such a bummer. So, though it was nice seeing Wanda and Riley get married. That was a very cute moment. But did Guile create that sword of his? Or was it someone else? Is Team Rocket behind this as well? And what's the arc after this? Now that I think about it, I think it's the Diamond and Pearl arc. So unless it's something that leads into Team Galactic, that's interesting. Diamond and Pearl, and then it goes straight into Platinum. And then you have Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So unless we're setting up something that'll pay off with Team Rocket in 2 more story arcs, which I doubt. They don't normally take that long to have something like that really pay off to that degree. And sometimes they'll have something go into the arc after the next one, but that feels like a little too much time to wait. So maybe in relation to Team Plasma? We'll see. It would be interesting if Guile Hideout ends up being like a minion of, in Team Plasma or something. But I couldn't for the life of me tell who it'd be. And Jirachi, I wonder why Emerald's being so against having more help in the long run. Maybe he doesn't want to feel like he can't accomplish the job. He's maybe taking this very seriously. He doesn't want to seem incapable. Because he seems to have a lot of hang-ups about, not looking capable. That's why he has all the gadgets, right? And I don't feel bad about Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald not getting along, because you had to spend a whole entire arc with Ruby and Sapphire not getting along. It's just like, no, that's par for the course. Shoot, we'll be lucky if Emerald actually even remotely likes him by the end of it. But, man, it sucks that Sapphire got defeated, if only because it feels like Sapphire really gets underplayed the most out of anyone in this series. She just feels like she doesn't get to shine as much as she should. And the fact that Sceptile lost its memories. Wow. I hope Sceptile gets to see Wally again. I'm so hung up on that because it's just like, no! Wally took such good care of that Sceptile. That feels wrong to me. That feels so wrong that it would just not even remotely have anything to go with after being separated. I don't know. I feel like that might be the case, and it's just like, man, does Emerald not even appear in does Wally not even appear in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? Cause like, dang man, come on. Don't do Wally like that. We'll see. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din and hope to see you later. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.